Twin Humanities E3 Adventure.
With James Carter.
Electronic Arts came up first in E3 2018. As we mentioned on the preview show, it'd be interesting to see if they really bring their EA game this time, or if they Electronic can't be arsed.
Oh, how long did that take?
I don't know. I've had a cup of coffee now, so it's fine.
More the second one, probably?
Yeah, it's probably the fourth today. No, third, yeah. So they went straight in with Battlefield 5.
No, they didn't.
Didn't they?
No.
Is my stream wrong?
Were you paying attention? So
No,
firstly,
probably
on
not.
the intro, because I make some notes on these bits. I always like to critique the stage.
You are one for making notes, to be fair.
I've made more notes than I've ever made. There's probably 20.
Note trick, note dust.
There's probably
as they
30
call
pages
you
of
in
notes
the
here.
library.
Yeah, I made my notes on Google Keep, and I got halfway through and had to open a second Google Keep note because I'd already filled the first one.
Yeah, my notebook is a quarter full because of this year. Thanks, E3.
I wrote things down in a notebook and then wrote it up on Google Docs later.
I'm just trying to
What did they
negotiate.
start with then? If it wasn't Battlefield 5,
No, almost. You are very, very close. But firstly, the staging, I thought, very similar to last year. Nice round white and red aesthetic. The deck chairs looked a bit shit.
Oh, we're talking about buildings now, are we?
We get
I
there.
thought
No,
we were here for
and
the games.
there is another game. There is another game. I just thought we'll set the stage before we get there. I thought the deck chairs looked a little bit shit, but I did like that they were all white. It matched in with the aesthetics quite well, and they had
I missed the
round rooms
YouTubers
at the back. I didn't miss the YouTubers. I thought it was great that they weren't there.
because you're one of them now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Not that
100
kind of
episodes.
not that
you
kind of
get
YouTuber.
You get your flaccid play button.
And my haircut.
Yeah. To be fair,
But
that's
the
there.
first thing we saw was actually some weird augmented reality anthem shit.
What? No,
You didn't see
why
that?
Why would you write that down?
Because it was shit.
I wrote it down. Anthem hologram opening.
Jesus
It's right at the top of
It
my
was
notes.
really
on my feed.
bad. It looked like kind of that sort of cheap shit when they're kind of advertising a mobile game and it jumps out your telly like, whoa, look out! The monster's in the real world. Oh, and then you kind of see what the game is and it's just some mobile piece of shit. You didn't think that was worthy of comment?
I just don't even remember it happening.
That's because it was terrible.
There we go. I've flushed it from about. I'm all about the proper games, the real games.
And then Andrea Renee comes out and says, "Didn't that look good?" I went, no, that wasn't Andrea Renee.
Hey guys, what did you think to Andrea Renee?
Okay.
I thought she did pretty well with
She did
what
all right. My
material
problem-
she was given.
My problem is I kept... And maybe this is because we're so used to excellent. I kept comparing her to Aisha Tyler, and it just was not a good comparison. And I know that's not fair, because she did a pretty good job, given what she had to work with. Given the pretty, let's be honest, average EA show. She did fine. Yeah,
I think she was super professional. With what
Oh,
she did.
absolutely.
There was just a certain point where I kind of noticed the amount of times that she was going like, "Hey guys," and I was like, is that the way you're bringing us in? Just by like, hey, I'm one with you, Andrea Renee, best mate.
Let me put it this way. If she could have taken the place of Andrew Wilson and Vince Zampella in her discussion with Vince Zampella, and basically everyone else that EA had on the stage, I'd have taken that.
Yeah, I agree.
She was
the
about the
best
best
presenter.
person on stage.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with that.
I miss the YouTubers.
I do. Turning around like, oh, I didn't see you there. I've forgotten my lines.
or just like somebody in the back control room going like, "You know that machine, turn it off." Well, that's the one with all the words on. yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, you missed the YouTubers more for the chance that things could go hilariously wrong.
Just imagine there's like a version of Paddy that was there behind the scenes last year and that just like, yeah, switch it off.
Do you know how much ad revenue that prick makes? Turn it off, fuck
Yeah.
him.
Andrew Wilson will fire you. Don't care.
Don't care, lol. Look at his
my
haircut.
revenge.
Looks right like a right knob.
Going into the job centre afterwards going like, so what did you do before this? Well, I was in control of auto cues for Electronic Arts E3 2017. You do that YouTuber thing? Yeah. Oh, full money. Off you go, mate.
You're right. So yeah.
So can we get onto the games now?
Yeah. Well, now we've covered the incidentals. We've set ourselves up, and I've made notes on every single stage. So prepare for this.
What was the floor like?
It was black.
Cool.
Or dark.
So Battlefield 5 then. Can we talk about this now?
If you want.
Is that right?
Now we're in the right order. Yeah. And now you've caught up to where everybody else is.
Thanks. Just because I don't remember the stupid start-up.
I'm sorry. I thought this was a deep dive. I thought we didn't leave any stone unturned.
Deep
I thought we
dive.
let the show. I thought we let the show breathe. I thought we talked about everything we wanted to do. People say that these shows are stupidly long, but they like that we don't rush through.
A deep
I thought
dive
I'd take
on the
some time to
games.
set up. How dare you? This is for the
Deep dive
fans.
on the games.
Hashtag CJ's wrong.
Properly. What? As if anti-Sean Layden.
Nah.
So Battlefield 5, they promised a Royale mode.
Everybody
coming
drink!
later. No loot boxes, no season pass.
But they're the knobheads that started it.
They are. There's this real degree of like, oh, we're not doing loot boxes at all now. Please don't come for the FIFA one. That's the one that makes us loads.
Yeah,
loads
we'll
of
be
money,
talking
please.
about that later in the summer. They literally said Ultimate Team will talk about it later in the summer. We're not doing it here. We're not doing it here. But yeah, so there was also a sense that as soon as they said, in the 2 or 3 times they did, no loot boxes, no premium pass, there was a beat there where they expected applause. I'm sorry, you don't get applause for undoing the cock-up you made for everyone in this industry last year. You don't get applause for barely doing the right thing.
It'd be great if Andrew Wilson had just come out on stage and go, "We got found out!" And everybody, yeah, it's alright, it's forgiven. It's fine.
I don't get it. I don't get how happy they expected everyone to be. Like, a company, they put a snake, a live scorpion in each box. Guess what, guys? This year for the new Battlefield, we stopped putting scorpions in the box. Hey, fuck off.
Yeah. Or it's the Simpsons one where it's like where Mr. Burns is sort of like, as they go into the vending machine, they're getting ever close to the poisoned apple. Like, sir, legally we had to remove the poisoned apple. Battlefield 5, does it get any... Do you think it looks good on the one hand, and do you think it gets any plaudits for not having a season pass, given what's happening on the other shooty side of things?
No, I mean... That's a decision they made to save face. Maybe the season pass could be an issue of, no, we don't want to fracture our player base. We want to make sure everyone's got all the content. That's the sort of thing I could see them doing anyway. And they are going to have customizable either transactions, or I think they're called airlifts that you get if you buy the premium version of the game, the deluxe edition. But they've said it's all only sort of customization stuff, like cosmetic stuff.
Okay.
Cosmetic's the word I was searching for, not customizable. You can customize a gun to be 10 times more powerful than it is, and that's not the same thing. Cosmetic stuff. But it's like, well, that's still loot boxes. Like I know we all accepted, like, Overwatch set the tone. Everyone
I do not accept that.
I don't accept it whatsoever.
I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. As far as I'm concerned, if you get to have, like, back to Gears days, where Gears 3 came out and there was like 60 quid worth of skins on the store for weapons, and yeah, not everyone wants all of them, but you see someone running around with a nice flashy gold Lancer in Gears of War, you might think, oh, can I get one of them? And guess what? 5 quid, please, or whatever it was.
Didn't they say, sort of, with regards to Mass Effect Andromeda, whilst it was like loads of people going like, really? No? Oh, never mind, that guy spent $15,000.
Yeah.
Insane.
So it can be cosmetic only, and that's fine. A lot of people are okay with that. I agree. I don't think that's still great, but it seems like the market has accepted that that's something that doesn't unbalance gameplay, and therefore isn't as much of an issue to them, and that's fine. But don't say no loot box. Well, maybe they do mean no loot boxes. Maybe all the... Because I think they did say it's cosmetic stuff, but you're always going to know what you're buying.
It's a shop.
So maybe it is just microtransactions where you buy certain skins and stuff.
Totally.
And I guess the airlifts are bonuses they can give out to people as a freebie, but sounds like that's still random as to what you'll get. I don't know.
I don't like that they've called it a season pass. Oh, the season pass is free. It's not a fucking season pass then, is it? You're not buying something extra. If everyone gets it for free, why are you calling it a season pass? Like it's some... Again, they're repackaging shit as like, oh, this is a present for everyone. It's not.
Yeah,
But I hate to say the first 3 expansions will be free, or like we're going to give you expansions to the game that will update. Calling it a season pass is like, here's this thing that we usually sell you that we're not going to sell you this time. It doesn't feel right.
But on the other side of this, you've got the brilliant thing with Call of Duty where it's like, yeah, it's just a multiplayer game this time, but you are going to have to buy the season pass. Hold on, I've got to buy a season pass for a game where you've actually cut out the single player and there's only multiplayer. Yeah, and if you want any of those maps individually,
God blow
and the answer to that is, why are you charging £60 for the main game then? Like, if you want to give someone a free base game or a budget level base game and then charge them for the extra content you layer on top of that, that's something I can get on board with. At least players then have the option whether to spend that money or not based on whether they like the game. In this case, you're telling me, and I don't play Call of Duty multiplayer, I haven't played Call of Duty single player for 8 years or something. So... you know what? I hold my hands up. Maybe I don't know what the market for that should be, or indeed for a Battlefield, but it does seem like they're clawing after. It's 50% what can we get away with, and 50% is just guesswork as to how they're going to market this stuff and how they're going to sell this stuff.
Do you know
fair
shit,
though? If somebody is looking at the two of them. Like, you're definitely getting more for your money with Battlefield than getting stuff that's cut out, and they're going to charge you extra for stuff.
Here's the problem, though,
over with
right?
COD.
Here's the problem, is that, I mean, where I work in a charity shop, and I meet a lot of different volunteers during the week, and, you chat, as you're working, you chat around, and you say, do you like games? Do you like, I love games, yeah, I'm a big gamer. Well, do you play COD? Is the first question. Every single time. COD, FIFA, like, those are the only two that come up. So, Battlefield 5 could give you a blowjob, and it would still sell less than Call of Duty, I think. I think Call of Duty will still be bigger, regardless what they do, because it's got that brain share in everyone. Like, do you play games, COD? Like, it's the first question, and it drives me up the wall.
It'll be interesting to see if people in game stores have to underline to people that are buying Call of Duty that there is no single player campaign this time, because there was a statement I got to a few weeks ago where they said that a huge portion of the audience that plays Call of Duty gets less than 10 kills in multiplayer. And that's a huge chunk of the audience. They're basically sodding off. But I'm wondering if the game stores will have to basically underline, there's going to be no that this says online only. There's going to be no.
I mean, it would behoove them to, because I think it's safe to say you don't have to, as Activision, you don't have to say that, because you don't guarantee there's going to be a single player in every single time. So they'll just miss it off the back of the box. But yeah, you'd think retailers would just want to save themselves the aggro and heartache of parent after parent, kid after kid coming back in. Well, and I suppose the question is, will they give out refunds if someone's cracked open the box, put it in their console, and had to load it up? Because
didn't they have to do something similar a few years ago with the 360 and PS3 versions of one of the games not having a single player?
I remember.
Honestly,
yeah, the one with I think it was the one with Kevin Spacey in it. I don't think the PS3 and 360 got that single player.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you mean where it was split gen? Yeah, okay. Yes, that does ring a bell now. You say it actually.
So they're probably prepared if nothing else.
I mean, you can certainly get a refund if the game is broken, because we've had that with some. Well, we've had that with any game that's been buggy. There's been reports of, well, this is buggy enough, and day one patch didn't fix it, that people are going to take this back, and you can do in that case. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I think it would certainly behoove your games. I can't imagine supermarkets doing it, but places like Game or GameStop or wherever, it would behoove them to be upfront about that, just to make sure people know what they're buying. Because otherwise that's exactly who's going to end up with an earful about this game not being what they thought it was going to be.
You are cleaning up with the Behoover today.
Oh dear.
It was what? I started badly. I'm backtracking.
Would it behoove me to use that word slightly less?
No, it was good. I just imagined it though looking a little bit like an inflatable sort of cow's leg, but the bottom bit just like, and it made that kind of cowish noise, sounding a little bit asthmatic and a bit like the Fisher-Price farm door opening.
So
maybe
Battlefield 5 wise, I've not played a Battlefield since 3, and I played the single player and wasn't compelled to play the multiplayer, which I kind of thought I would be, but then push came to shove, I just didn't bother with it. I thought what they showed looked pretty decent. High level of destructibility, and
that was glorious. I enjoyed that. Yeah, driving a tank in a house,
driving through houses,
brilliant.
Which it could be interesting if that sort of level of destructibility is in their Battle Royale mode that they said they weren't going to put in the game and then just blatantly said, we've got a Royale mode.
I think that's coming later, isn't it? The Royale mode. They're not doing that.
About a fortnight after it comes out.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine, to be fair, there is... Well, I'd missed that one. Well done.
Thank you.
That was too good for me. I'd imagine that there are a number of people that these single players are kind of Christmas games to them.
Yeah.
You know, people will be, making Christmas dinner and saying hello, and they'll fire up sort of the single player to one of the military shooters and stuff. And that's not going to be elsewhere. But I did think there was a kind of cartoony chaos about it, even though it was World War II stuff. And I like the moving of the gun turrets around, and
that looked really cool, didn't it? Yeah, where they pulled was it an APC or a tank? They pulled up to it and sort of clipped on and then drove off. With
Come on, wee sunshine.
Really cool.
I like the snow falling off the roofs, like just sort of segmenting away in chunks. So that was glorious.
And poofing when it hit the ground. Yeah.
And it's not as if you can get me. I'm in a house. You're like, no, mate. I mean, the amount of shooters that I've played and stuff, and you're thinking like, you can't get me because I'm hiding behind a plastic road marker.
I'm in a shed.
So, so yeah, if they balance it and it's a good, and it may well be good fun to play. Some of the trailers looked a lot more serious though for the single player.
Yeah, so I guess we'll end up talking about that again in the Xbox stuff. But they're breaking it into sort of vignettes where they're war stories, I think is what they call them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they did look like they might be a bit more serious, but and hopefully that doesn't feel too juxtaposed next to the kind of almost Battlefield Bad Company 2-esque vibe that some of the multiplayer stuff looked like it had. But yeah, it looks interesting. I think that's an interesting way to do it, because often, like back in Call of Duty 2 days, the missions did feel a little bit disjointed because you just hopped around from one place to the next, and the narrative threads weren't necessarily as big of a deal, because especially at that stage you were hopping around playing different characters on different in different armies and that kind of thing, so you weren't even following like a narrative through. Back in the ye olde, we're trying to actually do historical World War II stuff, whereas this looks like, I mean, they even said we're aiming for our version of World War II. Or words to that effect. They're not sticking to historical accuracy, which the games never really did, but they're clearly taking some license with
like an alternative stuff. Universe version. Yeah.
I like they're doing the war stories thing. Like, it means you can you can probably tell smaller stories and not have to have like this big, grand, personal, overarching. Oh, the random grunt in the start of the thing turns out to be the one that overtook the Führer. Like, that always seems a bit too much sometimes. But being able to tell those more sort of smaller stories. I mean, when you sort of read books about, the wars and you hear stories about it, it's always like a soldier's story about what happened to them, or someone who survived, the war passing through the town and what they did to survive. Like, we can get some of that sort of feeling out of it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they have said, I think, some of these stories are going to be based on, like, correspondence and writings of soldiers and of people in and around that time. They're going to take that as a jumping off point, which I want to say they did something similar with Battlefield 1 last year, but obviously World War 1 related. But that seems good to me. I'd take 5 sort of 1 hour focused, concise, sharp war story campaigns over one 5-hour campaign that doesn't necessarily feel all that well fleshed out and almost feels short for a full single player campaign. I think 5 1-hour campaigns could do pretty well in that respect.
I think there is a game where one superhuman man takes out the entire Nazi war machine, and it's called Wolfenstein.
Yeah, there is that.
Already got that.
I think there is the point as well that even if one of those sort of small stories isn't, maybe doesn't quite come off, there'll be others that'll be great, and you have got that contrast, if we're reading this correctly, of like, oh, here are the little personal stories, and multiplayer's bonkers. Knock yourself out. Have a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So FIFA now with Champions League. Did it look any different to any other year to anybody else?
You could. I've written this down as a note. You could have told me this. You could have shown me this trailer 5 years ago, and I would have gone, "Yeah, that's good. Looks like the new one." Yeah. How do you make these games look new? How do you?
It's got a different number on the end.
How do you make them look different? How, other than the fact the players look a bit different, a bit older, maybe, but how do you make them look interesting? I don't understand, and I know this bit of the conference is not for me. I get that. We've talked about that in the past, how, the sports bit where I generally fall asleep for 5 minutes is not for me, but dear God, you have not sold me on anything. Look, we got a trophy on stage. It's the actual one. Look. It's going to stand here and wait for applause, and nobody applauded.
So I knew what that was as soon as I saw it. The music was a clear, I even though I don't watch that much football nowadays, I know that music. I knew what they were talking about. I honestly didn't know Champions League wasn't in the game. I honestly thought, as far as I knew, European leagues were in that game. As far as I knew,
I thought it was all there. I didn't have any idea.
Didn't Pro Evo used to have the Champions League, and it's another thing that they've lost?
I know Pro Evo did, like earlier in the year, there was a story they were going to start giving up some of their licenses and stuff like that just because they're expensive and they don't see return on them. So maybe that's allowed FIFA to pick this up. I honestly did not know they didn't have the Champions League. I knew they had like X number of domestic leagues and all the teams and licenses for that. I honestly assumed that if I went and played that as whoever, I'd be able to get into the Champions League. I honestly didn't know. Great that they've got it. If you're someone who plays FIFA every year, it probably stands out like a sore thumb if you can't take your team or a big team in your country or whoever to the Champions League final. It probably is massive, but given
that Pro Evo has things like London Blues and West Midlands Village.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that mean that they'll just replace it with Cup of People that done dead good?
Well, I mean, in
Winners' Trophy.
I want to say in
of the Europe.
I want to say in
of the Europe.
Championship Manager and Football Manager that they did just call it European Cup or tournament or league or something like that. And probably they will. Probably they will. Probably they'll just have some off-brand name for it and all the same teams in there. But I don't know whether FIFA did that previously or just ignored the fact you could have European football.
I've learned a fact about FIFA about while I was watching. Turns out, right, Ronaldo is really important because he's on all the boxes and every piece of art. That tax-dodging pant model.
What? He's an amazing footballer.
And he's a tax-dodging wanker.
He's a genuinely amazing
He's
footballer.
just been fined €18 million ahead of their fight with... I think... Now, I saw this on Twitter.
Is that a second?
Spain,
I was going to say, yeah.
Spain and Portugal are having a football match tonight, and I believe Spain have fined him today to fuck with him.
What?
Spain have because
he plays in Spain, therefore, he dodges tax.
Oh right, okay.
He dodges tax in Spain. So Spain have fined him 18-something million quid and giving him a 2-year jail sentence, which I think he's not going to do any of, because of all his tax dodging. On the day,
that's the equivalent to Ronaldo of like me going to you, Paddy, will you go and buy me a Mars bar?
Yeah.
Oh, they've gone up. Never mind. I'll still pay 50p. I'm
He's
hungry.
a tit. He's a tit. Get him off the front. He's a tit. Put a better footballer on, like Alan Shearer.
David Silva.
He's a footballer, right? Tim Henman.
Right, so,
put him on the front.
So then, yeah. So then Andrew Wilson came on with an AI upgrade, more realistic hair and a jumper, because he's one of us.
His simple jumper, a simple black jumper, although nice gold bling.
No, it was blue, wasn't it?
No, it was
navy blue.
I thought it was like black, but maybe that was the
Navy
TV. Bling watch, though. Very bling watch.
Oh, I didn't see the watch.
Oh,
I thought you were saying blink watch. I was thinking, like, I didn't look at his eyes. Did they move?
Hello, I'm Andrew Wilson. Blink.
Yeah. Less grease on my hair. Jumper. One of you. Best mates.
If he's a robot, do you think they've got to turn blink on? Blink mode activate.
Or it's the same bloke that snuck in that did the auto cues last year. Right, you're not doing the auto cues this year. You're on blink. All right, mate.
Don't blink off. Oh.
It's like
me.
Lost.
I've learned my lesson.
Every 15 seconds, you've got to push the button. Otherwise, something bad happens.
So he then went on about Origin Premium Access, which is PC only, which seems to be a more Game Pass version of EA Access.
Games Netflix.
Yeah, well, so first of all, he mentioned they are looking at building a game streaming service.
Oh, yeah.
And then talked about, this premier tier of Origin Access, which is only going to be on PC, but the EA's new games will all come to that, which is the same as what Game Pass do for Microsoft's games now. Plus the existing Vault, which on PC is much, much bigger than it is on console. And amongst the kind of sizzle reel they did for that, there were games like, there was a Batman Arkham game and Inside shown, so there was non-EA stuff there as well, which is quite cool that they're getting that rolled in. It does seem like we're maybe in a bit of a race for who can get their either streaming or Game Pass style service up and to be the most ubiquitous one as soon as possible, to be honest.
Are EA really the people to do that, though?
I trust them implicitly.
I mean, Origin's better than it was, to be fair, and EA Access seems like the sort of thing that eventually I might end up grabbing a hold of on my Xbox, just because there are games like Unravel on there that are kind of no-brainers that I want to play at some point. I just haven't got around to.
So then, as we know with the kids that love the Star Wars, nothing gets them more excited than a man in a chair. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Respawn, who are a brilliant developer, just words and a few knowing, oh yeah, looks.
It was so edgy. Ooh, you're playing as the hunted
bizarre.
Jedis. You're being hunted. And darker tale, and it's edgy as fuck. They're probably going to wear black and have hoods, but not have red lightsabers because they're just edgy.
I am sure this game will very likely be very cool. I am a massive fan of Titanfall 2. I thought it was fantastic. If they can bring that level of spectacle to a Jedi game with lightsabers and fast movement and powers and force powers and everything like that.
And storytelling
cool.
as well, because that
and
story is a
it's really
belter
cool.
in Titanfall.
But show us some of the game. Don't just tell us that it's vaguely coming. That's not enough.
Like revealing a title, that's a significant thing to reveal, but it's the sort of thing that could be announced in a press conference unless you've actually got. I mean, even Nintendo managed to patch together a title card for Metroid 4 last year. You can put a font together that looks like the title of your game, surely.
Maybe it was one of those where it's like, oh, hi, bloke from Respawn. Did you bring that flash? Oh, fuck. I told the guy who was doing the blinks to bring it.
And he can't go and get it because every 15 seconds he's got to push that button.
He's got to forget to push that button.
So, I mean, the other thing is, we heard this game was in development 2 years ago. Years ago. I'm not saying that it should be out by now. I am saying you couldn't put together some kind of CG trailer.
I'd love to have
Kingdom
seen
Hearts
like
was better than that. Come on.
I'd love to have seen them go like, everybody loves Star Wars, right? This is what Visceral were working on. And then they just played the most important trailer and they just went, you're not getting that now.
You're not getting that.
Just remember it.
Different. Yeah, it was really bad.
I was asleep. I kind of stopped making notes halfway through because it didn't do anything for me. I think my stream crashed as well, and I kind of came back and I didn't feel like I'd missed anything.
Yeah.
So then we got, hello, my name is Dennis. I was asleep on a chair in the back, and I've just been woken up, and now I'm on stage.
Was he that hairy boy?
Yeah, Dennis was the lad with the glasses who came on to speak about Battlefront 2. Apologised for last year.
But why is he? Andrew Wilson's already been on the stage.
You apologise, Andrew Wilson.
Talking about what is disrupting gaming. I'll tell you what's disrupting gaming. Shoehorning bloody loot boxes into games where they don't belong. That's disrupting gaming, not streaming services. Andrew Wilson.
They hadn't upgraded his apology module yet.
But why is this poor guy coming out and then Andrew Wilson afterwards saying much the same thing? Why isn't Andrew Wilson front and centre taking responsibility for this crap? That's his job.
I don't think this guy works for EA. I think they just paid him to come on and apologise.
He works in Gap or something. He genuinely looked like he'd just been woken up on a settee. You know, when somebody goes like, right, we're going out now, and you're like, what? And he's just like, you're halfway in the dream you were having and stuff.
It's the same guy with the blinks. He's got to tell people when it's their time to go on. He's like, fuck him, he can wait.
He was quite endearing, I guess.
Yeah, I thought he was
apologised for last year. He said that solo movie stuff was coming soon. He promised Clone Wars stuff, General Grievous, Obi-Wan, Anakin, blah.
Dooku.
Count Dooku.
I've written blah, 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 capture map, duh. Because it meant nothing. Like, we're putting a capture the flag mode in, or whatever it was. Like, cool. Capture a point. I'm really excited to add into my Star Wars game a point capturing mode. Brilliant.
Do you think a bit of that was like, oh, God, that Respawn Star Wars thing. We've got nothing. Get Dennis. He's asleep on the couch. Don't care. We need some Star Wars.
Dennis, what's your favourite bit of Star Wars? Clone Wars? Just tell them we're doing that.
But, I mean, to be fair, it sounds like what they are adding to this game, they're adding in a squad system for co-op, they're improving dogfighting and that kind of thing, or adding dogfighting. They're adding extra stuff that ties into Solo, which has just come out, which is a smart thing to be doing, I guess. And they're adding in Clone Wars stuff, which apparently at least the EA employees in the audience were excited about. It felt like this guy was having to step on all of those announcements in order to apologise. Hunt mode as well. Apparently the Ewoks are popular. I didn't know. And they're adding in hunt mode, which it has been popular, so they're going to add more to it, I guess, is the thing.
Do you play as the Imperials hunting Ewoks, or do you play as the Ewoks hunting Imperials? Or is that like both sides of the battle?
I think it's Imperials hunting Ewoks.
That's grim. That's great.
But I think that they're bullshit. Like, they're just these little furry goddamn cartoon monsters that seem to get the better of the Empire every single time with their sticks.
But yeah, it seems like they're doing good stuff
Ewoks.
with Battlefront 2, and yet Dennis had to come out and step on every single announcement by looking really sheepish and apologising, which I'm glad he did, but I feel like Andrew Wilson should have been out doing that first, and Dennis could have come out and said, I'd just like to reiterate everything that Andrew Wilson said. We are working really hard to make this game what we think the fans deserve. Here's what we're doing. And just boom, 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 go through it. Because it sounded like they're doing good stuff with it. I'm not going to play it, but it sounds like they're doing good stuff with it.
I like the idea of General Grievous being in it, because General Grievous is a dude. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't do enough. I thought the little bit they showed of Solo, where you've got Donald Glover doing the cool gun spin, was really cool.
Donald Glover was the best bit, wasn't
Donald Glover's in it.
He's the best bit of most things, to be honest, isn't he?
So we then bounced into something rather lovely.
This section, I'm all about this section of the conference.
I would like to say, I didn't say it on the podcast, but I totally wrote down Unravel 2 on my notes for the show. I just never got to it on the preview show. I totally wrote down Unravel 2. I'm calling that as a win.
Check the tapes.
I thought it was a really emotional opening, and I got quite choked up and misty-eyed. Yeah. The fellow was a really nice man. The game looks lovely. It was shadow dropped. Well played. So, with this, the success of the EA indie program, apparently all the money has been going to the studios themselves, and EA's not been taking a penny. Successful way out means Joseph Forrest Studios expanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Really good. No, I thought this was a really good presentation.
Definitely.
I definitely shouted, "Oh, he did!" at the start of that trailer when his rope got cut. With a bit too much glee.
No, where the little blue one sort of got out the case and like the sort of the lifelines connected, I kind of went. There was something that gets past my dark heart on my cloudy outlook where I just go like, oh my god, that's really nice.
I'm going to say something to you, CJ. I'm going to say something that I noticed that I wonder if you noticed, right? So you know when you're playing solo but multiplayer and when they glomp in together, looked a bit like Kamen Rider Build.
I didn't notice
with the blue and the red linking together on the front.
I really like the fact that when one hops on the other's back, it is one on the other's back, and they do kind of merge in and almost blend together.
I thought you'd have seen that immediately. I was like, oh, CJ's going to flip this Kamen Rider made of wool.
No. That would probably been attractive.
Yarnman Rider.
It just the guy was just really endearing.
Yeah. Same
really
guy who was on
lovely.
2 years ago announcing. 3 years ago, beg your pardon. Was it 3?
Yeah,
because last year was A Way Out. Year before was Faye.
Faye, wasn't it?
And then year before that was so 3 years ago. Just lovely guy. And seemed more comfortable, but still very genuine and very just thrilled about his game. And why shouldn't he be? It looks amazing.
The co-op stuff, the multiplayer like puzzles, look really cool as well. It's not just like
very, very
you
much.
hit the button and I'll go through, and then you come through afterwards. Like it did seem to be thinking about like different ways, like I suppose aggro, I guess, like pissing off a chicken to let you get past, and then the other one pisses the chicken off instead. Like I thought that was really clever and cool.
Also, I hate to be the guy, but I heard some people calling it turkeys. You've called it a chicken. It's a grouse. Sorry. Literally people saying turkey, and I'm like, they've called it grouse twice in the
James,
presentation.
are you grousing about grouse?
I'm grousing about grouse.
That is
it behooves me to make sure
Oh!
we all know what birds
Hold
want.
on.
Sorry, too far. I apologise.
No, it's good. We've got a theme for the show.
But yeah, he did an emotion at the end as well. He did an emotion. He was holding it together.
I literally put emotes question mark. Yeah, absolutely. That
he was
cool.
doing fine, and then he saw. I think it must have been his missus or partner or something in the audience, and gone.
I don't know. He seemed like quite a genuine guy, and I think I'd take 50 of him compared to like a greaseball like Wilson. Never mind his AI upgrade. But things continued with Sea of Solitude. The signs were good when at the moment, and an articulate, emotional German lass in a Kraftwerk t-shirt made her way to the stage. I just thought she was really honest. She was like crazy passionate. Game looks and sounds wonderful. Early 2019. Again, like a real shock, but she was great.
Yeah. Clearly, again, not PR trained to the point where you're Andrew Wilson, just there, being passionate, speaking about your game honestly, very, very genuinely, because, there was clearly some nervousness there about her talking about how she wrote this game when she was in a pretty difficult place. She felt very lonely and wanted to express what that loneliness can do to someone. This is all kinds of my sort of thing. In the same way that a Papo EO was.
I wrote that down.
Yeah.
I think as well that sort of stuff can't really be written as a script to read off autocue. She was properly just, it was coming from the heart, and she being that brave and laying yourself emotionally that bare super endears me to somebody. And the game looks really good and really intricate, and so cool. I think it's going to be a huge hit. And in the same way as A Way Out has meant that far as the studio's expanded, it'll be interesting to see if this takes off. What that studio can do when they get bigger and better. And but she was great.
And I love this stuff that EA do. It's the only section of this that I'm going to be this genuinely effusive about. Just spoilers straight out there for that.
Sorry, Madden's coming. Don't worry, you can be excited when Madden's on. Yeah, we needed that.
Word.
Don't worry.
But I mean, EA have kind of gone out the way to say, we're not able to make these games anymore. You are if you want to, but as far as they're concerned, they need to be giving shareholders big games that are big profit makers, and these games are, even though they look great and they appear to have been successful, they are a risk. So they're talking about A Way Out having been so successful that the developer is able to move into a new studio. EA aren't funding any of that, and like as you said, CJ, they're not taking any of the money or the profits away that the game earns. These are just studios that EA have kind of said, look, we'll give you a spot at the conference, we'll give you some advice on how to get it to, we'll give you a little bit of publicity and whatever, and they're doing well. I mean, the numbers on A Way Out, I think it was 2 million people had played it, which I guess technically means 1 million copies sold, because you
Maybe.
got
I mean,
a
you play on the same
copy.
console, don't you? So
Sure, yeah, but when you bought one copy, you got a second copy free with it to give to someone else. So it doesn't mean 2 million sold, but nonetheless, I mean,
still a great number.
That's massive for something that's brand new, out of nowhere. Yeah, people kind of knew it was from the Brothers people, but yeah, that just looked amazing. I'm afraid I'm going to have to put a pause on because Tesco just knocked on the door.
Vegetable break.
Sorry, back in a sec.
So at that point, after two very emotional and very honest points in the show, I can only imagine somebody went, Andrew, what do we do next? Basketball. What? Really? Don't interrupt me while I'm doing blow. Allegedly.
Whoa!
Oh, too far.
Libelicious.
What? It was a perhaps dramatisation.
Robots can't do blow.
I'd buy that game. Doing David Cage game.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for.
Can androids
to
do blow?
Experiment the robots that are looking to do blow, and the influence in the society. So yeah, basketball. Again, it just looked basketball.
I've written one note. Look at all the shoes. You can buy good trainers from reputable brands. Oh, get yourself a pair of Jordans. Get yourself some high tops. Get yourself some custom Kobe, LeBron shoes. Good God, this could have been any year, and you could. They literally maybe that's the thing. Maybe that guy who's fucking with the blinks and the auto cue is like, let's just play last year's trailer, see if anyone notices. He's brilliant. He's the star of EA.
For EA, if somebody thought that this was perhaps the low of the show, they then introduced young Kiv, who appears to be a bit of a twat.
I wrote fucking young Kiv asshole prick.
Yeah, I love the bit where he got up and walked out. I refused to shake somebody's hand. That was great.
My stream died. I think my stream died in protest at this point. It was like, no, I'm crashing. Fuck this guy.
So my notes were esports nonsense, beefy beefs, journey to become young Kiv, rubbish. This is why players aren't presenters or commentators.
God, I like when the professional player said that it was lit. I enjoyed that. That's for the kids. I really liked how much of an arsehole they made this guy look, because he was just vile. Like, just a horrible person. Like, I could have gone to my graduation or a Madden tournament, so I chose to do the Madden tournament. Can you
imagine a meeting where they were split in the room? They were like, well, I think we should really go with Honest John. He plays Madden and he gives all of his money to charity afterwards. He's been doing bake sales. He's sold off most of his wardrobe, and that didn't raise that much money, but he believes every little helps. But the room's split. Somebody else thinks it should be Give My Money Away Barry, who's also been playing Madden and just raising lots of money. But It's a split in the room. Hold on. Blink guy. Who do you think it should be? Young Kiv. Off to the pub.
He didn't shake someone's hand that one time. What an arsehole. And so I really they clearly didn't practice the bit at the end where the professional player's like, maybe I'm going to take your belt off you, and then just did and walked off with it.
And then just did by sneak walking across the stage.
He just put his hands on it, put his hands towards his body, and then walked off.
But he sort of went to run and then realised he doesn't have to run. He's just going to walk.
I'm the king of Madden.
Yeah. So the I haven't written down the name of the professional player who was on the stage. I'm afraid. Poor notes. I was way too caught up in the fact. I was way too caught up in the fact of how bad it was. But he actually seemed comfortable on the stage. Seemed at home. But the beef between him and young Kiv and the what's it like to be used? No, just stop. Just get that guy off the stage. If you want to put someone up who can talk passionately about the game, do that. But it was just really, really false and bad. And
I thought last year's was bad.
Almost.
I thought last year's Madden bit was bad when they had the 8 players in the tournament on. They focused on, I think it was Problem and someone else, and their rivalry they had, and then one guy broken his arm. It's like, oh no, he's broken his arm. I thought that was boring, but I would take boring over this piece of shit. He made me angry. Just the way he behaved. You entitled little shit. Get the fuck off of my television. It's just as well that
EA were done with their celebrity YouTubers and esportsers with Madden, wasn't it? I mean, they didn't do any more of that at all in the rest of the show.
What about the game? What did the game look like to you? Did it look like the same game as last year, and you probably couldn't have told?
Egg chasing.
It looked like a bull shot as well. Some of the stuff they were showing, when they're showing those sort of close-up shots of sweaty bodies and veins popping out and things you're never going to see that shit. You're going to see a boring green field with tiny men running around and bumping into each other every now and again.
So then from off stage, you heard, Andrew, what should we do next? Telephones. Are you sure? Don't interrupt me while I'm eating cheese. I like cheese after my blow, allegedly.
This was a really weird reveal.
Oh no, this! Oh god! Oh, I was angry.
With the Andrew Wilson clone, who didn't look like he quite made it to being Andrew Wilson.
Oh, he's in training.
Near enough.
He's in training. Yeah.
With bright white teeth.
It's Martin and Nathanius.
So they brought out 2 shoutcasters. Very proud to introduce themselves as shoutcasters. Very proud. Or commentators when I was a kid. Who then ran through a list of rules. They weren't that difficult rules, but it was real boring and real tough to care about following. They should have just said, we're going to show you a game.
This is some missile shit. I don't know.
It's just weird.
That's not as catchy as Command & Conquer, to be fair. Although it is probably a bit more honest.
Play some missile shit. Yeah, all right.
But they also built up this whole thing where we're not going to tell you the name of the game, we're just going to let you watch it. That's fine, but if my response to finding out the name of the game is Shrug, there's no way I could have known that was supposed to be a Command & Conquer game, really, or it didn't matter. It's not like you were suddenly revealing the name and we were all supposed to go, oh, wow, I didn't know Command & Conquer could look like this.
Finally!
Who cares?
I'd like to... Can I read you out a short poem?
Of course you can.
Thank God.
I say it's a poem. These are the notes that I wrote during this bit. I'm going to read them in the form of a poem. Martin and Nathanius. Some missile shit. I don't know. What is this? I am asleep. I am dead.
I will read my notes.
I'm not done.
In the form
There's
of a
more.
poem also.
There's more. I'm not done.
Thank God.
I am dead. Shoutcasting. Just a cunt's job. When it went to 1-1, I was sad because there would need to be one more round. This was shit. The end.
Yeah.
I was legitimately, angry. 1-1, fuck me. I've got to watch more of this. Why would you have 10 minutes of this? It was just, he summoned the so-and-so tank, and he's got some so-and boys. There's a Manta turret in the corner, like we're all excited, like we all know what that means. It's not Overwatch, we don't know what the things mean, not that I know what they mean, really but bad. Like, don't be excited about the special things when none of us know about the normal things. Shoutcasters, what a shit job.
Well, I tried shoutcasting cleaning the kitchen, and I did it about 10 minutes quicker. I was just scared.
But he's washed up the plates really quick. Oh, he's going to have to watch out for the cups.
He's going to have to scrub that tap twice.
Washing machine's getting low, so he's going to have to conserve his fluid.
Strategy games and RTS in particular does seem to fit on a phone, but why do we need to see someone actually using the phone? Just put what they're looking at up on the screen, please. And second of all, this seemed really quite dumbed down as far as strategy games went. Like it was race to launch a missile that takes half of the opposition base's health off. And then it was Command and Conquer, and I was like, okay, you could have told me that before. It might have actually increased my interest, at least for a couple of minutes, in what followed.
It looked like one of those games that have an icon that's just an angry man shouting to the right.
Yeah. I mean, it
Clash
is
of Clans 2,
Clash of
and I wouldn't
Clans
have realised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they did a CG style trailer at the end where apparently a general's job is to stand there with a tablet or ARM tablet type thing and just keep pressing deploy.
Thank God the truth's finally been revealed.
But where's...
I'm going to earn medals for this. Tap, 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 tap.
The whole point, right? Because I get that they're trying to do the Halo Wars style trailer of this is epic and the general's in it, but they're part of the battlefield but distance from it type thing. They were literally just standing there pressing deploy. That's not tactics, that's not strategy, that's just rolling out.
James,
what self-respecting general would stand there in the middle of the fight? They'd sit in a fucking helicopter or something, or back in Barovia.
They'd also be trying to pass strategy down to their units, not just deploy new ones.
Run
to anyone
that way. Run that way.
To anyone that's listening that's in the military, I'm sorry for the ignorance of my colleagues. They really don't know what's going on.
Lots of push and deploy.
Yeah.
But
hey,
it reminded me of...
a finger.
On YouTube, there's loads of mobile game adverts come on before videos, and a lot of them are like really focused on leveling something up. And it's literally just tapping a button to level someone up. It looks like a clicker game, but they're marketing it as like a RPG role-playing style sort of thing. That's what they made this look like. They made it look like you're just waiting for an ability or a unit to proc and just hitting a button to deploy it. And from the actual game, I never got that much more sense of the strategy involved, despite the two celebrity, in quotes, gamers standing up at the end and saying, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that literally was it. That was fun.
Thanks.
The thing is, they're going, like, it feels like they want to market this as another e-sport. Multiplayer is not e-sport. It's just multiplayer. No. Don't tell me that... So the new Call of Duty has... it's struck out single player. It's just an esports mode now. No! Stop calling everything an esport. Let it naturally happen. If people want to play it on a stage, then it's an esport. Otherwise, it's just a fucking multiplayer mode.
To some people, it's two lads sitting with two phones, but stick them in tracksuits. Game on.
Stick in tracksuits.
That's what I would see.
With the sponsor's name on the sleeve. Yeah. And now it's esports.
Yeah.
And make sure they're all Korean, but play
Commander
for London.
Monster. Commander Monster, like the energy drink kids. Please listen to our podcast.
Command and good. Monster Relentless.
No, you've heard it.
Command and Conquer Red Bull Alert.
Did they go to Anthem after this?
No, Andrew Wilson.
I don't know if I passed out after Telephone Tank Fun.
The robot came out again. They wheeled out the robot again for a bit.
He tugged at his cap and made some overtures of how sorry they were that they hadn't really done, but without saying sorry. I'm pretty sure.
We're sorry you were upset.
Please don't come for FIFA. I think that's the subtext
that's
of
on,
this
isn't it?
entire conference.
That's going to be a really interesting reveal of what Ultimate Team is come summer, like nebulous summer. They're going to try and sneak that out.
This first bit, because all I've written down is grind is shit was the only point I seem to have gleaned from it, and I cannot remember for the life of me what he was on about.
Oh, I don't know. I zoned out because it did just feel like he was all but apologising, but talking about how...
You can say he was all but. I was like, he does speak total arse, to be fair. And then you added more words and ruined it.
He was all but apologising.
He was twerking it up in the middle of the stage.
That would be entertaining, I think, actually. I'd go for that, yeah. But, yeah, it just felt like, here's what I have to say to acknowledge. I've said it too late because someone else has already come out and done that. And maybe take some more responsibility and don't give overtures of, we respect our players, we want to work with our players to make our games the best they can possibly be. Do better. You knew this was going to blow up in your face when you tried to put it into Battlefront 2. You had to have. Otherwise, what are you being paid all the millions of dollars you're being paid to do your jobs?
Well, he's not being paid. It's actually development costs for the Andrew Wilson bot.
I was just going to say
it's like the $6 million man. It's all going into him. Yeah. And then when his bit ends, he goes no, and jumps away.
Isn't the rise of Andrew Wilson the fact that he was one of the people that kind of put this stuff forward in the first place?
Yeah,
I'm sure I saw a vid with regards to it was a skill up vid when they were talking about the rise of Andrew Wilson and
sorry, I could just see Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I mean, EA have tried all sorts of stuff, haven't they? They had the online passes, they had season passes, they've had microtransactions, they've had tied in mobile games like in Mass Effect 3 and stuff like that. They've had all sorts.
Project
in Mass Effect 3,
Project
the
$10,
multiplayer.
love that Project $10.
Yeah, Project $10, absolutely. So they've had.
Did you notice the Easter egg of the conference where I went like, which was the blonde lass that was on stage during FIFA, I'm pretty sure had black hair and presented the original Star Wars Battlefront a few years back, and everybody said how great her accent was.
Nothing to me.
Didn't notice. I'm not all that up on the EA cinematic universe, to be honest, so I don't really know when this comes back.
Anthem then.
Chris Evans.
Well, before
whoa.
Go ahead,
Jesus wept. Don't pull me down.
Thank you, James. You're
to
on
be
my
fair,
side, right?
To be fair, not game related, so you're not going to like this bit, CJ. But Paddy,
it was the play to give thing.
It was play to give.
Yeah, which is they say about their big charity drive where people do things in games, and then at the end of it, they gave £1 million to a bunch of charities, which is really, really fucking good. But why do I only hear about this at EA, at E3? Why do I only hear about it after the fact? Like, nobody reports on it. Nobody. Did you know it was happening again? It surprises me every single year, and it's like, that's such a cool thing to do, Sure, make people play our games, but hey, we're going to give some money to charity, do some good with the games. Brilliant. Fantastic. Tell us. Tell websites to talk about it.
Charities, I'm not sure if they've always been the same, because I think this is the third year they've run it, certainly the second. He for She, I definitely remember being on there before. Pacers, National Bullying Prevention Centre, and Ditch the Label, which is another bullying charity, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, really good causes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
but
really
just infuriating. Like, why? And this will be a theme for another couple of shows as well. Like, tell us about the good thing you did before, or tell us to do the good thing, and we'll go do the good thing. Don't tell us after the fact. Everyone did the good thing. Like, okay, cool, but I didn't know about the good thing.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, robot! Sort your runtime out. His internal clock's off.
Anthem then.
Was one more? No.
Sorry, I was killed up with Dennis then for a minute.
His lovely beard.
Yeah, Dennis. Did he have a beard?
Dennis had a beard. Oh, he was a Jermaine Clement looking ass motherfucker.
He was a bit. You're right. So Anthem, you can purchase cosmetics. You always know what you're getting.
Yeah,
no loot boxes. February 2019.
Don't say the D word.
I thought the world looked gorgeous. Not sure about the combo. You come and go.
It did look a bit much, didn't it? Yeah. I'm one for numbers popping off things. I liked that about Borderlands. I've liked it in other games. It seemed a bit much, given the aesthetic of the rest of the game is quite serious. Not serious, but you know what I mean. It's quite straight laced.
I was interested in the amount of actual narrative and continual story it's apparently going to have. At this point, I wasn't really sure that I got a measure of what the game actually is.
I can tell you. I mean, it's Destiny, right? But you're Iron Man.
Well, Skillop had a hands-on with the game afterwards.
Anything better out of it.
And
I was
said
angry.
It feels very different to Destiny and Warframe. There's the Iron Man-like flight. We kind of got the idea of from looking at it, but the added verticality of diving underwater into canyons and just sort of going much deeper adds a huge amount to the feel of the world, as opposed to the flat surfaces of Destas.
I just didn't get anything out of this. He
was saying that he was far from sold going in, but that his interest has peaked considerably after being shown it sort of by EA, which was like, oh, okay.
Problem is, I think I'm kind of past the point where go here and shoot these things is that interesting to me now. Like, sure, you can go and go in the sea and that, but you're still going to go in the sea, either go to a place and then shoot a bunch of guys. Like, it didn't do anything for me. I was bored to tears. Also, slight aside, I need to mention this now because this made me angry. They talked about their big world with this big flowing story, and they've made it so that they can add story and they can add things into the world. The world can evolve as it goes, right? BioWare invent DLC. Fuck me. Other games can do it, and they don't make a big song and dance about it. The Witcher bolted a whole other area on the side of its stuff and integrated that wonderfully. Did they do a song and dance about it? Did they? Fuck. This just felt like it was just, this is our big game. These are the numbers. We've got a new kind of thing. We're going to call it a javelin, which is fine, I guess. And there's 4 different kinds of them, like the classes. I was asleep. I really tried to be interested in this, and it did literally nothing to me. Like, the combo shit was actually nauseating. I was upset.
I think a world where you're constantly getting story added to it, as opposed to, recently with Destiny 2's like atrocious narrative, which just looks like it's been cut away from the original game in the first place. Something that is more story driven and more focused, and if they can deliver it in a timely manner to keep expanding the lore of that world. And let's not forget, BioWare are highly regarded by many folks for the stories that they've shared over the years. The potential for that is something kind of cool.
But and this is a very personal but now, an Andrew Wilson but. This is a very personal but. For me, like, I do not hold BioWare in the same regard as most, or a lot of people do. Their take on how you do a big integrated story, their take on how you do a world, like their take on how you have these big branching narratives, I have tried so many times, and I just tap out after a couple of hours each time.
But I was very much like that with the original, like, Mass Effect. I've had like loads of swipes at it. I thought that the Last Dragon Age was one of the worst pieces of sellotaped nonsense, broken garbage that somehow got
Game of the Year 2016.
Game of the Year from loads of people. But Mass Effect Andromeda, the game that everybody, including the people that liked that Dragon Age, thought was rubbish going into it, was one of my favourite games of last year and one of the best endings that I've had in the game.
But you're Captain Contrarian, so that's
this is true.
Aim in this thing. But yeah, for me, I mean, I'm not going to go too much more because, like, this did literally nothing to me. It didn't explain why it wasn't just Destiny, but you've got a robot suit now.
Are you still there? I can't hear you.
Anthem broke Paddy.
Oh my God. You've been silenced by Andrew Wilson. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again at another point when Paddy's been resuscitated and yeah.